Welcome to O.D.Y Picks, where we're here to talk about all the best picks for the NFL season. Now, I hope you guys were pretty excited about NFL season week number 1 because I was. And quite frankly, we had some great games. It was pure action. It was about, like 4 to 5 upsets. I mean, it's crazy. So I know a lot of people probably lost some money, and I know a lot of people probably won some money. And actually, we did pretty good here. I mean, for the lines, we were 10 for 6. And for the totals, we were 6 for 10. So, kind of like half and half here. But in this video here, I'm going to do my picks for the 1 o'clock games here for week number 2. And I'm going to do a separate video where I'm going to include the Thursday night game, the 4 o'clock games, and the Monday night game. So let's get right to it. All right, so we have game number 1 here. We got the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Miami Dolphins here are +6. So there's some underdogs here. And we got the total here at 42. Now, quite honestly, yeah, the Dolphins lost last week. They were in New England. Everybody knows they never win in New England. I actually picked them last week. I wasn't sure if Superman Cam Newton would do it, but he did it to him. And the Buffalo Bills, honestly, the Buffalo Bills could have ran away with a blowout win against the Jets. I mean, that score should have been more. But all that tells me is Josh Allen has not proven that he could take that next leap as of yet, because I think he had about 2 interceptions and at least a fumble. This guy's a turnover machine. So I'm going to select the Miami Dolphins with the +6. They're at home. They're one of the few teams that will have fans at the stadiums. So I'm liking that. I know some fans out there going to be a little bit juiced about them Dolphins. And hopefully Ryan Fitzpatrick can do a little bit more besides turn the ball over. I'm hoping. And also, too, at this total, like I said previously, we have it at 42. I'm going to go with the over here. I think I'm going to take the over. Buffalo, yes, they have a great defense. We all know that. But, I mean, the Jets were still able to score, I think, about 17 points on them. So, quite frankly, I think the Dolphins at least have a better offense than the New York Jets. So, I think that this game should go over. I mean, hey, maybe Josh Allen maybe runs a couple scores on them. Who knows? But I think this game should go over 42 points. Game number 2, we got the Carolina Panthers on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, surprisingly, the Bucs here are 8.5-point favorites. I think that's kind of crazy. I mean, yes, as NFL fans, we like to overreact a little bit here about what we saw last week. But hey, that's just what we do here. I mean, Tom Brady had a pretty bad game, but come on, you guys, like seriously, he just started to practice with the team about a month ago. They're going against maybe the best team in the NFC on the road. So what you expect? I mean, come on, you guys. Like, even I chose the Saints. Saints was only favored by 4, but that's last week. We talking about this week. What I saw from Teddy Bridgewater, I like a lot, man. He's pretty good. I mean, he's not an elite quarterback. I mean, he's probably top 20, top 15. But I mean, hey, first system with Matt Rule with their head coach, Christian McCaffrey. We all know he's number 1. So in this one here, I'm taking the Carolina Panthers here. I think 8.5 points is a little bit too much, especially for a divisional game here, especially for a team in the Buccaneers that are still trying to find themselves here. So, I mean, yes, Bruce Arians called out Tom Brady. Everybody's talking about it. We all know that. But he's still the GOAT. But 8.5 points is, quite frankly, too much. And the Panthers, obviously, they could have won that game last week. They could have against the Raiders. So I'm taking the Carolina Panthers here. The total here is at 48.5, and I'm going with the over. I mean, obviously, Carolina has no defense to speak of. I mean, the Raiders basically scored, 34 points on them? So with all those weapons down there in Tampa Bay, I think they could get the job done. Like I said, I'm going with the over. Next game here, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Tennessee Titans here is 9-point favorites. That's pretty crazy because the Tennessee Titans barely beat the Denver Broncos on Monday night. So, and honestly too, Jacksonville was one of the upsets, in week number 1. I mean, my God, like Jacksonville surprised a lot of people, including myself here. So I'm gonna take the Jacksonville Jaguars here with the +9 because, like I said, man, them guys, you know what it is, man. There's a lot of young guys there. They're hungry. Obviously they're building their resume with all the game footage on them. These guys hungry, man. They want to come out there and play. And I'm going to take the Jazz, man. Tennessee, I didn't like what I see. Ryan Tannehill, like I said previously, he's overrated, overpaid, obviously, you know, because that's speaking from being a kind of a Dolphin fan here. But I'm going to take the Jazz here with the +9. Like I said, I didn't like what I saw with Tennessee. And we got the total here at 42.5. And I'm going to go with the over here. I'm taking another over here. Quite frankly, I don't think Jacksonville has really a defense. They got rid of all their best players. I mean, the coach scored 20 points, and that's with a turnover-prone Phillip Rivers. So, I mean, hey, maybe Tannehill kind of lights it up here, but 9 points is asking. That's just too many points, let alone for a divisional game on top of that. So I'm taking the Jags, and I'm taking the over. Next game we have here, we have the New York Giants on the road against the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are 5.5-point favorites. Now, I know all of America was thinking that Mike Tavinsky was going to get benched for Nick Foles. Honestly, I was calling for it. That's what I think that was going to happen. But it didn't happen. He came through in the clutch in the fourth quarter. He made a play. He threw that that late second touchdown, I think, to Anthony Miller. I mean, it was beautiful. It was very beautiful. But those first 3 quarters, he was terrible. But, and honestly, I think the New York Giants kind of looked it a little bit worse on Monday night, man. I mean, let alone against a Pittsburgh Steelers team with Ben Roethlisberger, who hasn't played in over a year. I mean, that was a very low-scoring game, I don't think I predicted. I'm not even sure. But it was a low-scoring game. I mean, Saquon Barkley only had, I think, about, 6 yards. But then again, the Giants don't have any other receivers that's really threatening. I mean, Stanley Sharper, Golden Tate is old. I mean, Ingram, the tight end, he might be the best receiver on the team. We don't know. Maybe it's Barkley. I don't know. But, you know, Danny Dimes, he kind of give you turnovers here and there. You know, it's a first-year head coach. So, I mean, what you expect. I did like the play calling that they was given to him. So, you know, major props to Jason Garrett. But in this one here, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears with the 5.5 points here. I kind of don't want to, but I'm going to take them. And we have the total here at 43. And I'm going to go with the under. This is going to be an underplay here. I think Chicago Bears defense may come alive this time around, especially against the New York Giants here. I think the New York Giants with Danny Dimes, Saquon, I think they're going to underperform in this game here, so I'm taking the under. Next game here, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys are actually 5-point favorites here. Kind of surprising because, I mean, what we saw here on Sunday night, Dak Prescott showed everybody yet again. He's an average quarterback. He's not elite. I mean, I do have him on the lower tier of top 10. I mean, just on that bubble here. But it really shows, man. You know, when the game's on the line, I mean, they had a chance to win and they didn't deliver. I mean, the Rams even kicked the ball back to them and they couldn't do anything. I mean, Zeke, they just need to keep giving the ball to Zeke. I mean, this was the same discussion last season when they kept trying to make Dak Prescott throw the ball 30, 40 times. And next you know, they just stopped giving the ball to Zeke. I mean, I don't understand it. Who knows? I mean, the Atlanta Falcons, they can't stop anybody. Russell Wilson, you know, he's the second best quarterback in the league. He just tore that defense up. But that defense, Atlanta's defense, they can't stop anybody. But I like Matt Ryan. And obviously, we love Julio Jones. Julio Jones is a monster. And quite frankly, there's nobody on that Dallas secondary that can guard this man. So I'm going to take the Falcons with the 5 points here. I'm going to go with the Falcons here. I think they're going to have a bounce-back game, or at least they're going to keep it close. And the total here is at 52.5. I'm taking the over. I think this will be a high-scoring game. I really do. Next game we have here, the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. And the Green Bay Packers are 5.5-point favorites here. Honestly, I'm going with the Packers. I mean, we all know Green Bay at home, Aaron Rodgers at home is great. I know this dude's record is a 85% winning percentage at home, or maybe even more. But he's an average quarterback on the road. But what I saw last week, what they did against the Minnesota Vikings, man, that was just incredible. That was phenomenal. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is letting everybody know, hey, I'm 36 years old, but I'm still elite. So I'm definitely going with the Green Bay Packers. Matthew Stafford here, I like him as a quarterback, but he is turnover prone, which he showed last week. He turns the ball over. I think he does pretty good in Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have a stat up for that, but I'm going with the Green Bay Packers here. And the total here is at 48 points. I'm going with the over. I think what we saw last week, hopefully we get a chance to see even more. I mean, yeah, the Lions play inside instead of outside, but I'm just going to go with the over here. I think Green Bay and that offense is going to be a little bit too much for the Detroit Lions to handle. And quite frankly, they're just a bad team. They was bad last year, and after week 1, they look bad again this year. Next thing here, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Indianapolis Colts here. Now, the Colts here are 3-point favorites, which I'm kind of surprised, but quite frankly, I'm not, because the Vikings, you know, they got a beat down last week, but the Colts was exposed against the Jags. Well, I wouldn't say exposed, because Phillip Rivers is the same quarterback. What everybody knows, this guy had 20 interceptions last year, and what happened last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he threw, 2 picks and sealed the game away. So, I mean, Phillip Rivers, you already know what he's going to do. He's going to turn the ball over. The number 1 running back, I think McKean Mack, whatever his name is, he's hurt. So, I mean, you got your best running back out too. So, in this one here, I'm taking the Vikings with the +3. I still think the Vikings have a great roster. I really do. And I think they're going to bounce back in this game here. The total here is at 48 points. I'm going with the over. I mean, if it's any indicator, this game may go over here. So, I'm sticking with the over. I mean, maybe the Vikings defense kind of took a step back this year. I don't know, but I'm taking the over. Here we got the 49ers at the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets here are 6.5-point underdogs. Now, like I said, the Jets is probably the most dysfunctional organization here in the NFL. I'm going to definitely take the San Francisco 49ers here. They're the best team here. All right, next game here, we have the 49ers at the New York Jets. Now, the 49ers are 6.5-point favorites here. Now, quite frankly, everybody knows this. We've seen this last week. The New York Jets here are a dysfunctional organization. I mean, my God, Adam Gase was looking lost out there. I mean, I'm glad he's not a Dolphin coach no more. And quite frankly, too, man, Le'Veon Bell, man, what happened to Le'Veon Bell? Like, he was a great running back. At least the best running back, 3 years ago? And my God, this guy cannot stay healthy. Jesus Christ. They tried to trade him last year. They may even try to trade him again this year. This guy's hurt again with a hamstring injury. I thought this would have been Le'Veon Bell's bounce back year, but obviously it's not looking too good. So definitely, oh yeah, and San Francisco, they got upset last week against the Cardinals. I mean, last week I chose the Cards because it always seemed as if the Arizona Cardinals always play the Niners close. And will the Niners have a Super Bowl hangover? I mean, this usually happens to a lot of teams. So, I don't know. But this week here, I'm going to take the 49ers, 6.5 points. I think that's actually not enough points for them to be favored by the New York Jets here. I think they're a much better team than the Jets. So, I'm taking the 6.5 points here. Now, we do have a total here at 42.5. I like the over. I think the 49ers will dismantle the Jets. I mean, maybe their defense is probably going to score about 20 points on their own. So, I'm going the over, and I'm taking the 49ers. Next game here, we have the Los Angeles Rams on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Rams are 1-point favorites here. Now, I'm going to take the Rams. Now, Sunday night, the Rams show that they're not elite. They're not special. They're just a pretty good team here. And quite frankly, the Eagles last week showed us that they have a terrible offensive line. They cannot protect Carson Wentz. I mean, I don't know what happened. They scored 17 points, and they didn't score at all after that. I mean, Jesus Christ. But the Rams obviously got Donald. I mean, he's going to cause some pressure here. I mean, and it's crazy because the Rams got rid of a lot of people this offseason. I mean, no Gurley, no Dante Flower. Who else they got rid of? Brandon Cooks. And, I mean, they were still able to, do some damage against the Cowboys. But, I mean, here, the Eagles, one of the Eagles' other weaknesses is the secondary besides the offensive line. So, I mean, Cooper Kupp, he just got that deal. I think he's going to make some noise. Robert Woods is too. So, I'm definitely going to take the Rams as 1-point favorites here. I like the Rams here, especially on the road here. And the total is 46 points. And I'm going to go with the over here. Like I said, I don't think the Eagles can stop anybody. And I think the Rams may come out here firing on all cylinders. They actually had a good run game last week too. So I'm taking the over as well. And the last game here for 1 o'clock, we have the Denver Broncos on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers are 7-point favorites. And honestly, I think that's too many points to be favored by because they barely blew out the New York Giants, honestly. And Denver, even though they lost Von Miller, they still had a very solid defense here. So I'm definitely going to take the Denver Broncos with the +7. I didn't like what I saw from Drew Lock. I mean, he didn't look too great. I mean, he didn't really have guys to really throw to, but I like that two-headed running attack that they do have. I love Melvin Gordon. I love him. I wish he would have got paid with the Chargers last year, but hey, you know, it is what it is. But Pittsburgh, Juju Smith-Schuster, he looked it okay. I still don't think he's a #1. I still don't. But again, 7 points to be favored by the Denver Broncos. I don't like that at all. So like I said, I'm taking the Denver Broncos here. And the total is 41.5 points. I'm going with the under. Like I said, Pittsburgh was barely able to score in the New York Giants. I mean, barely. And Denver has a defense. So I'm taking the under.